So in this video we'll talk about the news that Kerala has approached Supreme Court citing that central government is meddling in the state finances of Kerala. So central government, there is a role that central control the finances of state government. So we'll read about it. So it is in the, so we can relate it to the paper 2, that is polity, that is role of finance commission and devolution of power from center to state, devolution of finances. Here we will talk about finances. So there are certain kind of restrictions. So there are certain kind of restriction which the central government has been made on its state, which because of which it is not able to meet its revenue expenditure and as well as capital expenditure. So there are two kind of expenditure, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Because the central government, what is done, it has done had made some kind of restriction, therefore state is not able to meet its revenue expenditure as well as capital expenditure. So what is fiscal federalism? So it is in the from the GS paper 2. Fiscal federalism is the devolution of power to the devolution of finances to the state. There is a devolution of finances to the state. That is how central control the devolution of finances. So we will talk about not only in Kerala, but we will talk about this article in general. So we can relate this from GS paper 3 economy and also from GS paper 2, that is devolution of power from center to state. So from GS paper 3 there is a topic mobilization of resources. We can relate this topic to this. So we must know how the state gets its finances. So how the central government is sharing finances from the one is the central government is sharing finances from the divisible pool of taxes. So divisible pool of taxes, there is a certain portion with the central government that it gives to the state. The first one is statutory grant. So first is statutory grant. So statutory grant are provided by the central government to the state government based on the recommendation of Financing Commission. So these are statutory grant that is provided from center to state government based on the recommendation of Finance Commission. So share of the taxes from the state from these divisible pool of the taxes from the central government is based on the formula that is made by the Finance Commission. So there is statutory grant provided from the center government to state government based on the recommendation or based on the formula made by the Finance Commission. So this is formulated by 15th Finance Commission. So first source of funding for the state is statutory grant. The second source of funding from the for this state government is local body grants. So one is statutory grant that is given from the central government, that is given by the central government to state government based on the formula made by Finance Commission, and second one is local body grants. So they were local bodies were included in the constitution in the 73rd constitutional amendment and 74th constitutional amendment. So money to these bodies given by the state government, but the central government can also give money to or finances to the, so central government can give money, finances and grants to the local bodies as well. So grant to the local bodies, for example municipality and panchayat. So first is statutory grant, second is grant to the local body, the second is local body grants, and third is revenue deficit grant. So this is revenue deficit grant. So it is not given to all the state, it is granted to a particular state on the recommendation of Finance Commission. So it is a post devolution grant. This revenue deficit grant is a post devolution grant. So central will share its revenue deficit grant to certain state who are not able to meet the revenue expenditure. Central government give revenue deficit grant to certain state who are not able to meet their revenue expenditure. So and there are others performance based grant. Other type of grant is performance based grant. These grants are based on certain specific sector. For example, performance of state based on education sector, agriculture sector. For example, how implementation of land leasing laws, depending on the implementation of these, how efficient is the implementation of these laws regarding other. So it is also regarding other sector also. So there are certain discretionary grant which are granted by the center to the state. These are given to the state in the form of central plan assistant, or assistant is given in the form of centrally sponsored scheme. So grant is also given in the form of centrally sponsored scheme. So there are revenue deficit grant, then revenue deficit grant, then there is a performance based grant. So 4 is performance based grant. 5th is that is discretionary grant. So fifth is performance based grant, then discretionary grant. So one is statutory grant, then second is a local body grant. So statutory grant, local body grant, then revenue deficit grant, then performance based grant. So it is revenue based grant, performance based grant, and this is discretionary grant. This is based on discretion of center. So and it is in the form of central planned assistance, as this assistance giving in the form of centrally sponsored scheme. So for example, giving in the scheme of a Manrega. So let us explain one particular grant, that is statutory grant, that is given to the state from the divisible pool of taxes. So share to the state is based on the recommendation of Finance Commission or the formula devised by Finance Commission. First, so 15 Finance Commission for the 2021, the devolution has to be 40%. So 15 Finance Commission for the year 2021, devolution is 14%. That is, devolution would be 41% to the state, and remaining amount would be kept with the central government. That is 59% would be kept with the central government. 40% would be dividing among all the states of the country, and this kind of division of this particular share is known as horizontal distribution, and prior mentioned distribution was vertical distribution. So this 41% will be divided among various states, and this is known as horizontal distribution, and distribution between center and state is known as vertical distribution. So this distribution is based on particular criteria. So first criteria is income distance. The second is area, 15%, population according to 2011 census, 15%, demographic performance, 12.5%, forest and ecology, 10%, tax and fiscal efforts, 2.5%. So state 1, which is poorest and has maximum income distance. So the one which is poorest has a maximum income distance. So based on this criteria, the poorest state will get maximum grant. So weightage of this income distance is 45%. Then GDP is the average and GDP is the average period of 3 years. For the period of year which a state has maximum state GPT will get minimum grant. Then geographical extent, with a large geographical extent is going to get more grants. The state, for example, UP has a very large area, so it will get more grants as per the census 2011, and population based grant based on population. So population should be based on census 2011, and 15% weightage is given to that. So otherwise, state with the more population getting more grants, so it will be discriminatory to the state which have done good in order to stabilize their population. Another important criteria is demographic performance. State which have performed good in reducing total fertility rate are giving grant. Another parameter is forest and ecology. That is the presence of dense forest covered in any state. To compensate the state that is lacking in industrial sector. To develop industry, the major forest has to be cleared. This is going to harm the green GDP of the country. To compensate this industrial backwardness, state with the maximum forest cover are given more weightage. States which are working more towards the working efficiency in distribution of taxes will get better grant. Means that this does not equate with greater tax collection, but equate with efficient tax collection. So one is tax and fiscal efforts. So the state which has taken better effort to manage that equates to efficient tax collection. The state which work efficiently in the distribution of taxes. Any state which is working on tax collection efficiently is going to get more grant. So center devolves to the state based on recommendation 15 Finance Commission. Devolution of taxes presently 41%. Earlier it was around 28%. So central government has increased the devolution. So devolution ratio has increased despite there have been persistent complaint from the state. Amount which have been devolved to them is shrinking. Devolution ratio has increased from 28% to 41%, which still actual devolution to the state is not there, because 70% of the central receipt are in the form of taxes and 30% are in the form of surcharge and cess. So central government is mandated to share only the taxes with the state government, but central government is not mandated to share the amount of cess and surcharges with the state government. So central government was sharing the state from the 70%. Central government have reduced after the implementation of GST. So reduce the amount of taxes. Central government has reduced the amount of taxes after the implementation of GST. So they have reduced the percent of taxes. So central government has increased the surcharges and cess on the various goods and services. So tax base of central government has narrowed, but the surcharges and cess base of central government has increased. So tax base has become narrow. Grant to the state, therefore trans to the state are sinking, because central government is now sharing money only from the taxes but not from the cess and surcharges. So value of cess and surcharges have increased in the gross revenue received of the central government, but one of the reasons that financial of the grant of the state government have been shrinking. The central government has applied a ceiling on the state government borrowing. Central has also applied a ceiling on state government borrowing. So according to article 293, under the article 293, central has applied a ceiling on the state government borrowing. If a state government has taken a loan from the central government, if the state government wants to take another loan, there is a limit which the central government put, beside which the state government will not be able to take further loan. So there is a ceiling on state borrowing. So borrowing limit for the state is 3.5% of state GDP. So borrowing limit earlier were more than 3.5%, but this limit has been narrowed. State cannot take more loan exceeding 3.5% of the state GDP. Central government has put a ceiling on the state government borrowing. Third issue is there has restriction of off-budget borrowing. So off-budget borrowing, the loans which are taken by the public sector undertaking of the state government in order to aid an expenditure of the state. These are borrowing which the state is not directly taking, but the public sector undertakings taking loans, like in order to aid the state government. Such kind of loans are not reflected in the fiscal deficit of the government. Fiscal deficit window of the state government was increased. So fiscal deficit window of the state government was increased. State government could not take more loan in the form of budget borrowing. Since financial year 2022, central government has said that off budget borrowing would also be included in the loans of the state government. So now that's why there has put ceiling on the state government borrowing, because of the implementation. With the implementation of GST, goods and services, taxes and financial of the state government have narrowed. Before GST, state government was able to put numerous tax on goods and services, but the state government had flexibility to increase or decrease these taxes. But now, after the implementation of the GST Council determines a particular value of tax on a particular goods and services. State government cannot increase its revenue by increasing the tax of the goods and services. These are some of the issues which are affecting the finances of the state government. To compensate the state, there was a significant revenue loss for the state government when GST was rolled out in 2017. So government has given the compensation, GST compensation for this 5 years to the state until the year 2026. These governments, they have given a window to ease of their off-budget borrowing till the year 2050. The government has given, so what government has done for the states to finance them? Government has given 50 years interest-free loan to the state government in order to boost their capital expenditure or the expenditure on their infrastructure. In order to increase the capital expenditure, central government is giving state interest-free loan for 50 years. To increase the capital expenditure, central government is giving 50 loans for the 50 years. Some of the initiative which has been taken by the government. So these are some of the initiatives that has been taken by the government.